Hi, I'm Mrs. Mason. Welcome to day 4 of Growing Alligators. Today we're going to make some observations in our science notebook. We're going to measure our gators to see if there are any changes, and then we're going to talk about how to compare data and see which gator is actually growing the most. On day 4 of Growing Alligators, go ahead and get out your science notebook and just write down some observations that you might see. There's the tap water and distilled alligators for 3rd grade. Here's the saltwater alligators for 4th grade. And again today, this gator in the salt water with 90 grams of salt is floating, and the one in 45 grams is at the bottom. And for 5th grade, this is our peroxide and our vinegar gator. For the 3rd grade gators, I've already taken the measurement for the length, and now I'm just going to measure the mass. The gator in the tap water was 7.8 centimeters long, and the mass is 4.6 grams. For the gator in the distilled water, the length was 9.5 centimeters and the mass is 8.2 grams. For the growing gators in our salt water, I've already done the length measurement. Both of the gators are 6.5 centimeters long. The mass of the gator in 45 grams of salt is 2.8 grams. And the mass of the gator in 90 grams of salt is actually 2.4 grams. And for our 5th grade gators, the length of the gator in the hydrogen peroxide was 10 centimeters. And the mass is 10.4 grams. The length of the gator that was in the vinegar was 7 centimeters. And the mass is 3.2 grams. Looking at the data table for 3rd grade, you'll notice that I added in the dates that I actually did the investigation. So for me, day 1 was August 31st, and today is September 3rd. So be sure that you're including the actual date that you're working on the investigation. 3rd grade, we're just going to focus on the mass of the growing alligator. Both of them started off at 1.7 grams on day 1, and we can see on day 4 that the gator in the tap water has grown and is now 4.6 grams, and in the distilled water it's 8.2 grams. What I want to do is find out how many grams has each gator gained? How much have they grown? And to do that, I'm going to do a little subtracting in my science notebook. So I wrote today's date in my science notebook, and I started out with today's measurement, and I subtracted day 1's measurement. So for the gator in the tap water, it has gained 2.9 grams. The gator in the distilled for today's measurement is 8.2 grams, and I subtracted the starting, which was 1.7 grams. So this gator has gained 6.5 grams. This is my data sheet for 4th grade, and you'll notice I also added the dates that I'm doing the actual investigating. So my start date was August 31st, and today is September 3rd. So whatever day you start your experiment, be sure you're recording the actual dates in your data table. Both of my gators started out at the exact same size. I'm only looking at the mass right now. And I noticed that the gator with 45 grams of salt in the water started to grow steadily. And today it's 2.8 grams. The mass of the alligator in the 90 grams of salt water started to grow, and then today it was the same size as it was yesterday. And I thought that was a little odd when I was looking at my data, so I measured this one again, and I actually got the exact same answer. So I knew that it was correct. To find out how much each gator has actually gained, how much mass it has gained, I did some subtraction in my science notebook. So I put today's date, and I took today's measurement and I subtracted day 1. So I found out that my gator that was in the 45 grams of salt water has gained 1.1 gram. The gator in the 90 grams of salt water from today, and I subtracted day 1, it has only gained 0.7 grams. So 0.7 grams is how much this gator has gained. My data table for 5th grade, you can see I've also added the dates that I'm working on the investigation. And all of my gators started out with the exact same mass, and you'll see that my control gator is staying exactly the same because it's not in any liquids. Looking at my data table, I can see that the growing gator that is in the hydrogen peroxide seems to be gaining the most weight, the most grams. When I'm looking at the length, again, they all started out the same size, and you can see that the gator that's in the hydrogen peroxide is getting longer. In my science notebook, I'm going to compare the data from day 1 until day 4. So for each of the gators, I took the measurement from day 4 and I subtracted the measurement from day 1. So for the mass and for the length. So the gator in the tap water has gained 2.9 grams, and it has increased 1.8 centimeters. The gator in the hydrogen peroxide has grown a lot. It has gained 8.7 grams, and it has gotten 4.0 centimeters longer. The gator in the vinegar has gained 1.5 grams, and it has increased 1 centimeter. So at the end of day 4 of growing gators, we can see on our data and compare 3rd grade, the tap water versus distilled. I've updated the dates on my graphs. So you can see distilled seems to be affecting the gator more. Our 4th grade graphs. The gators don't seem to enjoy salt water very much. And my graphs for 5th grade. And when we compare all 3 of them, you can see that the peroxide, the hydrogen peroxide, seems to be affecting the gator the most, and vinegar the least. Now that we've had a chance to analyze the data in our science notebook, we can really start to see how much the gators have grown. Check back tomorrow and we'll see if there's even more changes.